All right, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Toon Under Podcast. We are the Southern Hemisphere's biggest, best, and only dedicated podcast to all things Newcastle United. And to go through this international break, bringing you your weekly roundup of all things Newcastle United, I've got Bobby in Ballarat and Mark in Brisbane. How are you doing, Bobby?
Good, mate. Good. It's been
a long time no see, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think I was on a pod last week. I don't know. I can't remember. Things are going warp speed at the moment. It's a busy time here in Australia because my job takes me all parts of Australia. So yeah, it's good. But yeah, good to be on the pod tonight.
And how are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing all right, actually. Work's a bit crazy for me as well, but heading off to Melbourne next week, so we've got that to look forward to. Week down in the cold. Food, wine tours, and the Newcastle supporters meetup for the national meetup again this year down in Melbourne this time. So
a bit of culture for you northern folk to come down to Melbourne.
I get to go to all my old haunts, so that's all good.
Yeah. But before we get started on this podcast, just a gentle reminder for those who don't already, if you don't follow us on any social medias, please do so and give us a like, comment, and subscribe down on the channel on YouTube. But best of all, please subscribe if you don't already. It means the world to us if you could do so. Hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell to keep notified of when we make new content, which is usually twice a week. But we will dive straight in this. We will get started, and we are going to kick things off tonight with the news that St James's Park is going to be host venue for Euro 2028. Now, it's been quite a while since competitive football, international competitive football, has been held at St James's Park. The last time was the 4th of August 2012 for the Olympic Games. That's when Brazil beat Honduras 3-2. Now, Bobby, your thoughts on St James's Park being a host venue and what you think it could mean for the area and also the stadium over the next 5 years?
Oh, it's great. It's a great thing for Newcastle, the area. It's a great thing for the club to promote, but it should be a venue that's used all the time. It's the best stadium in England by far. And I can be biased as I want, but I've been to most of them, traveling around, and there was nothing quite like St. James's Park, and I didn't even experience in these times, which is, at its peak. So as a stadium, as a city with the amount of pubs that are near it, it just makes total sense to me anyway. And what does it mean for the stadium in the next 5 years? Well, I think we know the ownership are very bullish on trying to get it up to at least the 65,000 seat mark. So I don't know how much they get paid for this. To be truthful, I don't know how much PIF are paying to have this, happen as well. The Saudi influence is very, very great when it comes to national tournaments and the like. So it's just fantastic news and shows where we're at as a club now. I mean, you sort of got to pinch yourself to think it was only a couple of years ago where we were all like down in the doldrums and the club's got no future, and St. James Park was falling apart with all these Sport Direct signs and the like. But now, mate, look at us. We are one of the biggest clubs in Europe in all measurements.
Yeah. It's been crazy how quick success in a short space of time, if that's what you can call it. My definition, I believe you can. Mark, your thoughts on St James's being a host venue, and do you think this could even accelerate plans for the stadium development?
Oh, it's huge responsibility for the club, but it's something that I think they will relish. They'll grab it with both hands. It's huge publicity for the area. It's a big tick of approval for not just the ground, but the way things are kind of being run at the moment. Obviously, as Bobby said, there's maybe some brown envelopes going on in the background. We don't know these sorts of things, but at the end of the day, look, it's huge for the area. It's a great ground. It's one of the few grounds around that is literally in the city centre, surrounded by pubs now. So yeah, let's just embrace it. But you'd have to think that any plans that they have for expansion of the ground is going to be kind of kicked up the arse a bit now, and they're going to want to make sure that that's as big as they can and as proud as they can, ready for that all eyes to be on it in the for the big tournament. So yeah, no, it'll be good. It'll be interesting to see what happens in terms of the development. But you've got to assume that they're going to want to push that stadium capacity up, just to not just for any potential revenue for the club, but I think if you get the cameras on that and they can make a statement about how they expand it, and that, you know, I don't think it will just be a case of like plonking a couple of stands on the side of it. They'll want to make it look pretty special. So yeah, that'll be nice to see on the international arena.
Well, the Saudis don't do anything half-assed. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it properly. And there's talk of the East Stand being all decked out with glass, so they've got the natural light coming through and everything. Gallagher's going to be extended by that time. The stack will no longer be there. That's got a 3-year turnaround apparently. So maybe development starts shortly after that. Who knows? Time will tell. It's good 5 years away before before a ball is kicked in the competition. No doubt details of that will be made public in due course, and I, for one, cannot wait for to see what the plans of that will be. But let us know in the comments down below if you're excited for the Euros to come back to England and Newcastle. Again, we had the Euros back in 1996. Chances are some of our subscribers, the listeners, probably weren't even born then. If you were, let us know on your experience if you went to any of those games at St. James's back then.
Let's just hope the international fans behave themselves.
Yes. But you know, when they've got a few frosties and one of the 127 balls, it's definitely possible there might be some friction kicking around. Who knows? Definitely possible. But we're just going to swiftly move on to that one, to now the international break. So we haven't had any international games kick off just yet. However, there are a few of our key players away on international duty. First one I'm going to come to is Alexander Isak. So he reported for international duty with Sweden, and he was swiftly sent back to Tyneside with an injury. Now, I haven't done much looking into this, but can either of you give any information on what is injured and what's caused the injury?
Well, the talk is that he came off against West Ham. He wasn't meant to be coming off. He's meant to play the whole game. Wilson wasn't deemed fit to play unless as an absolute emergency. Apparently, Isak signaled that he'd been he'd had enough and he'd done himself in or something. He came off, possibly precautionary at the time, we thought, but now he's obviously flown out. They've done a bit of an assessment over at the Sweden camp, and they've gone, "Yep, no, he can't really play," so they've sent him back. Look, hopefully it's nothing major and it's literally a bit of a tight muscle or tight hamstring or something, because he put himself about a bit against PSG. He's obviously put himself about and done the hard running against West Ham to follow that up a few days later. That's clearly taken its toll, but it's not like he limped off. It's not like he was on crutches. It's not like he had loads of ice on him. It hopefully, fingers crossed, it's literally just a bit of a precautionary, because I haven't actually seen any details about the actual injury released. So yeah, look, we'll cross our fingers, because he's absolutely huge for our season, and second on the goal scoring charts for the Premier League at the moment behind Haaland. So that could be a good race, and that's what we always wanted. So let's cross our fingers and hope that he gets back fit and raring to go for the next home game.
Now, Bobby, it was around about this time last year where he picked up again an injury away on international duty, which kept him out for a good number of games. Are you a little bit worried, not just for Isak's injury, but the way injuries are stacking up for the squad? And do you think this international break is actually coming at a very good time?
Yes, it's coming at a good time because we've had a lot of injuries. Yes, I'm worried because anytime our players get injured, I get worried. I'm hoping that it's precautionary and he's like, look, I felt something. It's not too bad. It's probably a week or two injury. So he couldn't play it in Sweden, and he's come back. That's the hope. We won't find out because the club is very secretive of these things as well. You just can't get any information. There's a good Twitter account that always comes up with the injury reports and stuff, and he's finding it hard to get anything out of Newcastle. So, look, I'm always worried. Like, I mean, there's so many injuries and they're all piling up. We know that Eddie trains the guys hard, really hard, and with the schedule we've had, the depth still, whilst better than it was last season, it's probably still not there to be what we are now, a Champions League side, and in the League Cup, and then the FA Cup's coming, so it's a lot going on. So, yeah, concerned, but we seem to be doing well regardless, and have managed it so far. So let's hope that can continue.
Yep, absolutely. Hopefully it's nowhere near as bad as it was last year, and he's back playing sooner rather than later. So rounding off some of the other players that are away on national duty. For the first teamers anyway, Lewis Hall is away with the under-21s. Tino is away with the under-21s too. Trips with the first team. Bruno with the Brazilian first team. Dubravka is away with Slovakia. Miggy with Paraguay. Tonali with Italy. And Shah with Switzerland. We have a few of our loanees who are currently away on international duty. For example, Jamal Lewis, he is away with Northern Ireland, but not necessarily a major concern for us if he gets injured or doesn't play much on that one. Now, one of the big games of this one happens, I think it's Saturday morning for us here in Australia. So we've got you local Aussie boys travelling all the way to London to take on Gareth Southgate and his team of 3 Lions. Will either of you be watching this game?
Yes.
Yeah? You're going to be watching the game live?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, fair enough. Because to be honest, I have zero interest in the English national squad. And I think a lot of Newcastle fans are actually very similar. Mark, I can see you're looking a little bit, really? England are playing Australia?
I did not even know that was the game. I'll be honest.
Let's put it this way. I've got no interest in the English national team.
Yeah.
It's about the soccer. Like any Australian national team. Like, I was just watching the netball, because the Aussies were playing. So, like, national pride for me anyway. But yeah, I've got no interest in the England national setup, particularly how Southgate keeps ignoring majority of Newcastle players. But anyway, Mark, sorry to
be honest, I don't even think it, like, I've kind of lost interest in the English games, like, and it's not even just the Newcastle players, it's the fact that there's players playing really well for other teams in the Premier League. There's West Ham players, there's Newcastle players, there's Aston Villa players. None of them are getting picked because he's got his favorites, he's got his like settled squad that he wants to pick, and he won't give anyone a chance. It's like you've basically got players who are sitting on the bench at Man City getting picked over players who are in form and playing week in, week out for their clubs, who are actually playing well at the moment and their clubs are doing well. It makes no sense. It's really frustrating, and it's got to be frustrating for the players. It's got to be frustrating for the fans of other clubs as well, not just us. And it's hard to kind of get invested in it when it's obviously just like picking favorites and not actually like giving the players who are in form a chance to actually prove themselves and reward them with games on the international level. So yeah, from that point of view, I'm a little bit frustrated with England setup, so I'm not really paying that much attention to it. I'm almost on the fence here with Lee in terms of how much I don't like international breaks, because A, we don't get any football to talk about in terms of Newcastle, and the other thing is, injuries on international duty are just an absolute pain in the ass. Ever since Michael Owen did his knee in, it's like literally like, nah, don't want our players playing. I'm actually happy that none of our players are playing, but I feel bad that they're not getting the recognition that they actually deserve.
And that was one of the good things about when we were shit. You knew none of them were going to go away for international duty. And
but we were shit.
You'd say fit coming back. I mean, there was Steve Bruce fit, so that's not fit at all. But they weren't injured, at least anyway. But yeah, that was one positive about having a poor performing team. Not many, if any, were getting selected for international duty. But Bobby, since you're going to be watching this game, let's just have a little prediction for you. What do you think is going to be the result? Because it's the first time Australia have ever played at Wembley, I believe.
Yeah, I think the last time we played England, we smashed you. So I think it was 3-1. So we've got form. I don't think you can handle our fighting spirit. That's just me. You might have better players on a lot more coin, but the heart of the Aussies, mate. I'll say Yeah, we'll win 3-1 again. Let's just repeat the last dosage.
Now, it'll be interesting. I haven't actually seen any of the squad that's been selected. Is Garang Kwal part of the international squad this time round?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I haven't kept that much of abreast of what's the actual team going to look like. And just for those in the comments that are going and blowing up, especially if we lose, I don't actually think that. I think England will smash us. But, yeah, I hope Garang plays. Be nice to see him. We haven't really seen him for a while. He's doing his thing in Holland. So, but Australia's got some good young talent coming through, I think, and we should take it. It should be an entertaining game to watch anyway.
Yeah, Garansky getting a good few minutes for a few fans back home in Newcastle, seeing him play, to be honest, rather than seeing a bit of YouTube highlights when he's playing over in Holland or anything, or what they've seen when he was back over here. So yeah, be interesting to see if he gets on the pitch. He's not in the squad?
Doesn't look like he's in the squad.
Oh, well, can that one then. Oh, that's a shame, because he's actually been playing quite decent. He got an assist in his last game as well. Oh, well. Unlucky for him. Hopefully he makes the next one. But yeah, that's pretty much the international talk on there. Let us know in the comments down below your thoughts on the international break, whether you think it's a good thing, bad thing, and whether you genuinely would like to see more Newcastle players be represented at the international level. And also, we just want to touch on a little comment that was made on, and I'm going to use the name very slightly, TalkSport. I can't remember, I think it was Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent were talking about how Andy Goldstein reckons that Eddie Howe would jump at the chance to leave Newcastle and manage England if the opportunity came around. But Darren Bent was like, are you mad? You're absolutely crazy. The project he's got in Newcastle, he could go places with this. He could write his name in folklore. And then they're going, but winning the Euros is better than winning the Champions League. What's your thoughts on that whole argument? I'll come to you first, Mark.
If there's a solid bid in for him from England, it's gonna have to be hard work for Eddie Howe to turn that down. If you're an English manager managing in the Premier League, and England come calling, it's got to be a draw card. It's got to be a really strong pull. The problem is that for years Newcastle for managers was seen as the poison chalice, but that's England now. England don't have a particularly great track record. They're kind of like getting easy draws under Southgate, and everyone points to his record, but every time they play anyone like meaningful, they always lose. So I think England's got a very good squad at the moment. If the manager that was in charge would actually pick the players based on form and actually pick players who are fit and raring to go rather than his favorites. I think Eddie Howe would do very well. But one of the big things for me, for Eddie Howe, is his day-to-day work with the players and managing those players, managing their personalities and managing those players. But it's like getting the fitness levels up, getting them drilled so they know exactly what the job is, what's required of them, where they need to be, when they need to be there. As an international manager, he's not going to have the time with the players to work on that. So the effectiveness of what he does at Newcastle, I don't know if it would translate exactly to international level. And you've also got the egos in international level that Eddie Howe doesn't have to deal with at the Newcastle level, because we have this strict no dickhead policy. So you go into the international level and suddenly he's got all of these big egos to manage, and they all think they're better than everyone else and they have to start, and why aren't I getting picked, and they kick off about stuff. So look, for me, I think he's got an absolutely fantastic project here at Newcastle. I think he knows it. I think he's bought into the project. I think he's bought into the area and the fans. And by his own account, he's been blown away by the support he's had, and the general feel and the vibe that he's had since he joined. I think it would be hard for him to leave, but you never know if it's the England job that's calling for an English manager. It's a big draw card for him.
Do you echo those comments, Bobby?
No, I don't think you take the England job off over Newcastle because of the reasons Mark stated in the end. He's a fully invested day-to-day, go to work, work with the players. As you said, like he can't mould the England team like he can mould a club team, whatever club that is. So I think that hunger he has of being involved in the setup day to day would rule him out of anything England. Maybe in the future, if he's achieved everything at club level, and he thinks, this is it. And look, money-wise, I don't think we're owned by Saudi Arabia. There's no way that if we want Eddie Howe to stay, there's no way that they're going to gazump that. So I just, there's not a world I can see in the short term or medium term where Eddie Howe leaves Newcastle for England. So I'm not worried at all in the slightest. And if you want my opinion, club football is where it's at now. The prestige of it and everything like that. I mean, the World Cup is the World Cup. It is fantastic, but I think you've got more prestige in the club tournaments with the Champions League and the FA Cups and winning those things. He would be, I think he'd be silly to leave. And I don't
the other thing as well, he's young enough where if he stays at Newcastle with the project that's ongoing and he's and he does something with us and he wins some trophies, if he wins things with Newcastle, which we all hope he does, then the England job will be there waiting for him.
Oh, England!
He'll get another shot when he's a 10, 15, 20 years older, and if he decides he wants a new challenge, then if he's proven himself because he's won everything that's to be won with Newcastle, then he walks into the England job when he wants it, not when England wants it. So
yeah, I mean, England love picking the dinosaur managers, like pick Roy Hodgson at 100 so.
Yeah. Still time for Steve Bruce.
I wouldn't surprise me if he gets another gig.
Yeah.
Eddie he's got another 50 years before he'll be considered for England, in my opinion. So, I just don't see it anyway, in shape or form, in the short term anyway.
I'd agree with you on that one, Bobby. I really would. So we're going to leave the international talk now, and now we're going to do a quick little mini review of the opening 11 games of the season so far. Just picking out our favourite moments, our worst moments, and where we think the next few games are going to get us potentially. So I'm going to come to you first, Bobby. We've played 11 games so far this competitive season. 1 in the League Cup, 2 in the Champions League, and 8 in the Premier League. What so far has been your standout moment or performance?
It's the easiest question you're ever going to ask me, Craig.
Yeah.
Easiest. It's the Champions League.
The easy ones out the way first.
Like, playing against PSG at home after 20 years, the atmosphere was... You always get surprised, I think, that it can go to another level. And when it does, it's just amazing. But what that game meant, where we've been, where we've come from, and then to put on a performance where we battered them like 4-1, that's the high of the season. I don't think, unless we win something, it gets better than that.
I couldn't agree anymore. Your favourite moment of the season so far, Mark?
As much as the Sheffield United game away from home, 8-0 was great to watch, and we all enjoyed that. Eight separate goal scorers, first time ever in Premier League history. There's no way you can go past beating PSG 4-1 at home. I don't care if PSG were a bit off their game, whether they're in transition. I work with a guy who's a PSG fan, and the next day we literally set the world to rights, and he was saying, "No, you played really well." I don't know what we were doing, playing 4-2-4. We're in a transition period, but he took absolutely nothing away from us. We played brilliantly, and that right there is what football's about for me. It's those big name games, and when you play well and you get those sorts of results, then there's nothing much more you want other than a bit of silverware at the end of the season.
There was a bit of a blip earlier on in the season with 3 defeats on the row. The Liverpool one for me probably stings the hardest because we went ahead in that game. Liverpool were down to 10 men. Which of those 3 performances, if it was any of those 3, Bobby, is your potential low point of the opening games?
Liverpool was the most frustrating. I think that was a game where I questioned what the hell we were thinking in the last 20 or so minutes. I was just dumbfounded by the way we played, and I don't think we should have. Well, I didn't think we should have lost that game, and I think that was a very, very low point for me. But I mean, I didn't lose faith or anything, but it was a kick in the teeth because I suppose Liverpool did it to us last season as well.
Yeah.
A couple of times, and I thought we'd learned our lesson from that, but we didn't clearly, and they did it again, the pricks. So yeah, that was probably the one that hurt the most.
Yours, Mark? Your low point so far?
I hated the result from the Liverpool game. But the fact is, we actually played well. It was this almost a snatch and grab by Liverpool at the end there when, we got unlucky. The ball bounces off Botman's ass and straight into the path of Nunez, who scores, levels it up. And you could see we panicked. It's like we lost the plot. We lost our heads. Frustrating, but the rest of the game, we actually played well. The big one for me was Brighton away. We just did not turn up for that. And I think to go there and put in the performance that we did and almost embarrass ourselves with how bad we were, considering, all the rest of the games, we lost against Man City. We didn't play badly. We hammered Aston Villa on the opening day of the season. We played well for probably 80 minutes against Liverpool and then had a bit of a snatch and grab at the end for them to snatch it away from us. But the Brighton game for me, so far this season, has probably been the low point because of how bad we were on the day.
Yeah. The Liverpool one for me, because we went ahead in the game. Brighton, they were comfortable the entire game because we were so bad. And, I can't remember who the third loss was now.
Man City.
No, it's gone. Sorry?
Man City?
Man City, yes, yeah. Man City, where, to be honest, we didn't show up that one either. And we're left with shooting boots at home, and we just didn't turn up. But Man City will do that to many other teams so far this season and humiliate them. We weren't humiliated. We lost 1-0. No. So, to me, that was a free hit, as so many people called it, the Man City away one. But there's definitely been a lot more highs than lows so far in these opening games. Would you agree, Bobby?
We're living in a constant high at the moment. Really, like where we're at, you pinch yourself. I mean, I was just thinking then, the game where we beat Man City in the League Cup, that would have been, they would have made a DVD on it a few years ago, for us. Now it doesn't even register as the biggest moment. It's like, oh yeah, well, it is what it is. We've beat probably the best team in the world in the League Cup and knocked them out of a chance at winning a trophy. Thank you. The rest of the teams can say thank you for that. So, yeah, I just think where we're at now, I think, I read Twitter a little bit, not as much as I used to, and I still see a lot of people, angry at stuff, and it just gets me because I'm just like, man, look at where we're at. Look at what we're building. Look at the club's transformation before our eyes. And, this pod and our discussion sort of shows where we've come.
Yeah. And Mark, if I had told you at the start of the season, after we played 11 competitive games, we would be sat 8th in the table on 13 points. We'd be top of our Champions League group after 2 games. We've smashed PSG 4-1 and we've knocked Man City out of the League Cup. You'd probably want to get me in touch with a doctor. We'll be lying down on a couch and going, hold on, what's this kid smoking, you reckon?
Given the start to the season we had, given the fixture list that we were handed, definitely. I mean, everyone keeps forgetting that we literally had the hardest start to the season out of any team in the league on paper. And we've literally come out of it by a long way as well. Yeah. And then you look at sort of where we are right now with, again, on paper, and it's all on paper. And, we know football's not played on paper. Man City kind of lose games when they think they should win them against Arsenal. But look, it's hard not to look at the season so far with perspective. And I understand we can't keep living in the past and it's like we can't just keep blaming Ashley and saying, oh, well, it's better than that. We have to move on from that as a mindset. But it's still worth keeping in mind that, we're sitting 8th. We're like, what, 1 game off top 5. We're 2 games off the top of the league, still in the League Cup, top of the Champions League group, as you said. It's like, this is the stuff dreams are made of. It's like, for us, like 2 years on from being bottom of the league and looking like we're waving goodbye to the Premier League for a 3rd time under Ashley. And now we're literally like, loving life, looking forward, and games can't come quick enough for us at the moment. It's great.
And I just want to remind people that the club know this was going to be a more difficult season than last year. I mean, the documentary, they clearly state that it's going to be tough because they know that we're not there yet in terms of squad and the amount we can spend and stuff like that. So, I mean, expectations really hard to sell to the masses, particularly Newcastle fans. But yeah, I think where we are, what we're doing, we've just got to be really appreciative of the club at this point.
And also, Bobby, I just want to give a little bit of a kudos to you for back in January with your Mystic Bobby prediction for how good Anthony Gordon will come for the club. You said literally as the interest was there for him, then when he signed on the dotted line, this kid will be absolutely massive for us. And you literally couldn't have got that any more truer if you wanted to be. He's been phenomenal so far, you reckon?
He was an Eddie Howe player. Like, I could see it. I watched Everton to hope for to watch them lose because I got great delight out of that. So, but he always took an interest from me. I always thought he was a gobshit, but he was a good player. Like, he had everything you want, and he was young. But I mean, when you look at the backstory about the way he was coached and what Everton had in Lampard and stuff, you knew the upside was so great. And once he got into Eddie Howe's training, the talent was all there, and we're seeing it finally this season. And he's still a baby. Like, he's still got years to go, so he's not even the finished product yet. And already he's probably been with Botman, I'd say, our player of the year so far. And yeah, he's going to be such a good player. And I was just shattered that he didn't make the England squad because I think he could do damage there. I was, as well. But no, I mean, that's not a Nostra Bobby. I won't claim that like Dimmy does to everything. But I think, he's a good player, and hopefully we see, more of him now.
I mean, Mark, we obviously did see that little spat when he came off as a substitute in Brentford. Maybe one or two little warning signs there, but obviously Eddie's put his arm around him, said, look, this is what's expected you of a player at this club, the level where you want to achieve. He said in the summer break, he's going to go away. He's going to improve his fitness. He had a smashing summer with the under-21s, winning the Euros there. And he's come back and set the world on fire, hasn't he?
The little spat that he had is literally down to the fact that he was getting criticism from all parties for not being this world-class superstar, justifying his price tag when he joined the club. He obviously had it in his head. He wanted to play more games because he wanted to prove himself. And he was 21. It's a bit of a rash, like petulant young kid that didn't want to come off. Eddie Howe's obviously had a chat to him. There's probably players like, I remember Richie putting his arm around him at the end and having a chat to him as well. And we've got the leaders in the dressing room that I think probably got into his head a little bit and sort of had a chat and said, look, you need to work hard. You need to prove yourself. You can't justify anything at this club, blah, blah, blah. But he's like, fair play to him. He's literally like knuckled down. He's put his head down. He's worked his ass off to get fit again. We obviously know he wasn't fit when he joined the club. He is obviously taking on board everything that Eddie Howe's trying to teach him, and he's benefiting from it hugely. I mean, he is like literally chalk and cheese to the player that we saw when he first joined the club. He is now, like, as Bobby said, really hard done by not to be in that England squad. But I'm actually really glad he isn't because, he's obviously got that mentality where he wants to keep improving. And maybe this is just that next little spur where it's like, well, okay, if you're going to leave me out after I've played so well, I'm going to play well enough so that you cannot actually leave me out, because it's literally like I'm undroppable, I'm not pickable kind of thing. So look, I'm so pleased for him. He's been a breath of fresh air since he's come in this season after on the back of that great tournament. And yeah, as Bobby said, it's like, he's 22. It's like, give him 2 or 3 more years and then we'll see what he comes. But he obviously wants to improve, so you've got to think he's going to get even better than he is right now.
And I'm not selling him. I'm not selling him anywhere for 45 million either. So
no,
he's already a bargain. So the amount of criticism we copped as a club for paying what we did, and you saw the way the transfer unfolded. on the documentary where Everton wanted 60 million, and to get him for 40 million plus 5 million add-on, it's a bargain, you know. So well done to the club, and yeah.
Quick one before we move on to our final little segment. We're going to do a few little quiz questions on the season so far. Just favourite goal of the first 11 games. I'll come to you first on this one, Mark.
Oh, God, I don't even know. Are we taking Champions League into account?
Yep, all 11 games so far.
I'm going to go for Miggy's against PSG just because it shut everyone up. It's like, stop giving the kid so much shit. He works his ass off. We know he's not like this world-class superstar, but everyone needs to get off his back. And for that goal to go in the way it did, and for him to score that goal, you know, absolutely fair play to the lad. He's worked his ass off again, got the rewards, and I'm really pleased for him that he's starting to get the goals again.
Yours, Bobby?
Yeah, I was going to say Miggy. I think on the review for the PSG, I said that was probably the best of the lot. He's done so, and he's had some worldies in the last year and a bit, hasn't he? He's scored some brilliant ones, but I think that was probably the best one. And yeah, like Mark, he tops a lot of criticism, and so it was good for him to put one away. And you know, I think that's probably the best goal we've scored this season.
I think my favourite is probably the second one against Villa, where Isak gets his first with the little set piece play from Tonali out to Botman. Botman swings it back in, and Isak posted past the Villa keeper. That to me is my favourite one so far. I think just a well executed set play, which we've done really well with so far this season. We've scored from quite a few, which is always good to see. But let us know in the comments down below your favourite moment of the season, your favourite goal of the season so far, albeit only 11 games played, but we've scored some crackers. We've had some cracking performances as well. So now we're going to move on to, and this is just a little final segment of this podcast, the first ever inaugural Toon Under podcast quiz. So we've got 5 quick questions here. Bobby, Mark, you're going to be shouting out the answers. Whoever shouts out the answer first gets the point. 5 questions, and if it's a tie break, I've got a tiebreaker question as well. All 5 questions are based on the season so far. So the first one is, are you both ready?
I'm never
Not
ready.
really, but go on.
I'm not a quiz guy because I got worse memory than bloody Lee.
That's debatable, very debatable. So in the opening game of the season, we beat Villa 5-1, but who scored the 5th?
I want to say Wilson.
I was going to say Wilson.
Wrong.
I think it
throws out.
Tonali scored the first. Was it Murphy?
No, wrong. It was Harvey Barnes.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, Harvey.
I knew it was someone that came off the bench, but yeah.
Didn't Craig say it was the first questions were easy? Like, you know.
Yeah,
I thought that was an easy question. It was
the first game of the season. It was like ages ago.
That's like
the second one. This one you should get because it's quite a well talked about thing so far this season. Who was sent off for Liverpool in the 2-1 loss?
Virgil van Dijk.
Correct. 1-0 Mark. Question. Now, this one might be a little bit tricky. Can you name all of the 8 goal scorers in the 8-0 victory over Sheffield United? Don't have to be in order, just all 8.
Nope. Gordon. Isak. Wilson. Botman.
Correct. That's 4.
Bruno.
Correct. There's 5.
Barnes.
Nope. He went off injured that game.
Longstaff.
Yeah, that's right. He was replaced by
Correct.
Gordon.
Longstaff.
I want to say Miggy because he has to
Correct.
have scored.
Yeah. One more, and you can share the points.
Oh God.
You'll kick yourself if you don't get it.
Murphy.
Nope.
No.
Nope. Do you want to know then? Give up on that one?
Yeah.
Dan Burn. 4-post header.
Oh God. Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we scored two set piece headers, didn't we? And it was both centre
we
halves.
did.
It was like,
Yeah.
well, yeah.
And in the 4-1 win against PSG, what was our percentage stat to the nearest 5%?
For possession?
Yeah.
70.
Yeah, I think it was 70.
Stat. In the 4-1 win against PSG, what was our possession to the nearest 5%?
Yeah, I thought we had like loads of the ball in that game. Did we not?
Nope.
I'm gonna say 30% then.
30%. Yours, Bobby?
Well, I'm not going to say 70 anymore. 45.
45. No. Mark wins. It was 27% possession.
Wow.
And we still
Are
won
you
4-1.
serious?
Yep, 27% possession. How mad's that?
Been...
Shows you can do as much as you want with the ball, but if you don't put the back of the net, it means bugger all, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's
and last one, Bobby, you can get a little bit of salvation with this one because Mark's already winning 2-1. Question 5, to the nearest 3. How many goals have we scored in all competitions so far this season?
I want to say
the cogs spinning around.
There's 16 in 3 games.
$28.
Bobby?
Not that much, surely not.
No, it won't be that much.
23.
Well, I'm going to take both answers, and Bobby, you were the closest. Because it's actually 25. And I said to the nearest 3. So, Bobby, well done. You win that one there. Mark, you win the inaugural Toon Under Podcast round 1 championship. So, you are now the quiz king. So, well done on that one.
I want to challenge Lee for the wooden spoon.
Good luck on that one. But I will let you know the tie-break question. And if you don't get this one, then, you know, the world's a rotten place. Shearer scored his record-breaking 201st goal against which club?
Crystal Palace.
Wrong.
Everton.
Wrong. Portsmouth. Come on.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Bobby, your reaction. Not very often you drop an F-bomb on the show, but there you go. How do you forget that? That's how
at least I had the right coloured shirt.
That's true. Yeah.
So did I.
Yeah. Well, they got
partially
blue
half blue.
Yeah.
They look like Crystal Palace. Anyway, yeah.
Oh well. But anyway, Mark, well done. You are the Toon Under Podcast quiz champion. Your crown.
I feel we're setting a pretty low bar, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it'll be eaten up pretty well.
Yes. We'll see who wins the next one. See if you can retain the title on that one. But that will do us for this podcast. Let us know in the comments down below if you managed to get all 5 questions right. And if you have any questions, any of the topics we have covered today, we will try and get back to you as soon as we can. Please follow us on all the socials. So we are on Twitter, X, or whatever Elon decides to call it next week. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram as well. To search Toon Under Podcast. We try to follow back everyone we can on Twitter. And again, leave us a comment or question or DM on there. That's not a problem at all. But again, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. That helps us out massively. And if you are listening on the audio side of things, 5-star review and leave us some comments if you can as well. But that will do us for tonight, lads. I'll say thank you to both Bobby and Mark for joining me. And we will see everyone on the next one. Not sure when the next one is, but we will see you all on then. Have a good night, lads.
We've got special guests next week.
We have Adam Peacock, returning guest. I think it'll be his 3rd appearance on the show on that one. So keep an eye on that one. He's an Aussie Newcastle fan, so that is should be a cracking show. Always good when he's been on previously. But let's hope England smash the Aussies at Wembley. I'm going for a nice 5-1 victory myself, with Kieran Trippier scoring a worldie of a free kick. You can't say better than that, Bobby. Come on. if anyone you want to score for England, it's got to be Trips.
Yeah, 5-1 loss to England. That'll be good.
But cheers, lads, for joining, and we will see everyone in the next one.
Cheers, guys.
See ya.